Now, so let's move into the top half, Herc. The top 5 players in the CONCACAF region. Number 5, we're going back to the Reggae Boys.
Ooh.
The striker, Mikel Antonio, one of the dual nats that Jamaica brought into the fold for this World Cup qualifying campaign. He does it for Jamaica in the Premier League. He does it for West Ham. He's in the top half. Herc, where was he in your list?
In my list, I had him. Let's see right now. I will tell you, in my list, he was 8th.
8?
Yes, he
wow,
was 8th.
So I had him clearly then much higher to bring him up to number 5. Why are you hating on Mikel Antonio?
No, let me ask you a question. You said Jonathan David was the best 9 in CONCACAF, yet
No. You said that. You
agreed with me. We could
before Mikel Antonio was playing.
Episodes.
Before Mikel Antonio was playing.
You got it now. All right. Here's the thing with Mikel Antonio. I've got no issue with him being a 5, honestly, because he's got the body of work in the Premier League. He's going on his 3rd season where he's going to hit double-digit goals for Fulham. He's definitely a very good, very capable 9. But this is the first time. Oh, West Ham. I'm sorry. Did I say Fulham? West Ham is what I meant. But this is the first time he's actually played with Jamaica. He's got 3 games with Jamaica, 2 goals, and you can see how important he will be. But much of, like you said, that body of work with Gio Reyna, I took a huge knock against it because he's not played too much with Jamaica, which I hold a lot of weight, where you can do simultaneously in club and country. Now, that said, I've got no issues with him being 5 on this list.
Bro, right? I mean, he's been dominant for Jamaica. Like, you can say he's only played 3 games, 2 goals, and I can't argue that, right? Because I just made the point about Reyna not having enough of a body of work.
Right.
But when you factor in what he's done in the Premier League, it's not like Antonio's a young guy. We know what he's bringing to the table. And
other
he
side
changes.
Of he's 30 plus,
maybe more than any other player, Herc. I think he's changed what the team's ceiling is for his team. What Jamaica is with Mikel Antonio is totally different. They got a legit shot with him. Before you include him and before you see the impact he'd had, I don't think they were going to be making much noise in this. But now I think Mikel Antonio, that weight, it may only be 3 games, but we've seen the impact.
Yeah, it's huge impact, and that's why I've got no issue with him being 5 on this list.
The goals, by the way, sorry to cut you off, are just, they're solo efforts. They're spectacular solo efforts. Like, he's manufacturing these goals out of nothing.
Yeah, I don't know about out of nothing, because I think we got to give Jamaica some credit. I think they're.
Go look at the goals, bro. Go look at the goals that he scored in qualifying.
You shoot from 35 yards out like that, that's manufactured out of nothing. But you look at the goal that he scored against El Salvador, that's a very good goal. But they're not, hey, you just do your thing. I think Jamaica's becoming more of a team, and that has a lot to do with them. But yeah, only 3 games with the Jamaican national team. You can't disregard what he's done in the Premier League, so I have no issue with him at number 5. I do want to see more of that body of work, and he'll go up that list even more.
To the question at the bottom of the screen, is he the best striker right now in CONCACAF? How would you rank those 3? Because I think on our top 10, we've got Jimenez, then we have
Jonathan David.
Then we have Jonathan David, and then we have Mikel Antonio. So you agree with that? Mikel Antonio is the best?
No, because I've said Jonathan David is the best. I've said it before, I've said it today, and I will continue with Jonathan David.
Opinions change. You got to be more fluid, dude. You can't be so stubborn.
You just look at the statistics over there. You look at the statistics, it's very hard to ignore what Jonathan David's been doing, and he's doing it at such a young age. I think he's just a better player right now, but it's very hard to ignore what Mikel Antonio has done.
Look at that. We got some quality 9s in the region, no doubt. From talking about number 9s, let's go next to number 4, and the star, the face of U.S. soccer, at least on the men's side, Christian Pulisic of Chelsea. Number 4 on this list, and number 1 on Herc's very cool shirt there.
There you go. You know where to get it. So it's difficult to think that a player can be so instrumental to his team getting to a Champions League final, score against Real Madrid, be the face of his nation, be so instrumental and iconic in scoring goals against their biggest rival, and yet he's going to come in number 4 on our list. But a lot of that has to do with durability. Nobody's denying the talent that Christian Pulisic has. We're talking about the amount of time of him being on the actual field to help his cause, help his team. And that's taken a huge knock this year, whether it's club or country. That ankle injury suffered against Honduras affected him with Chelsea, has affected him. He's only played half the qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers for the U.S. men's national team. that's a huge knock on him, and that's a huge knock with other fan bases, with other nations. They see how not durable he's been for the U.S. men's national team or in his young career, but he's clearly a talent. He clearly changes the game every time he's on the field. Healthy.
And that's it, Herc. That's it, Herc. He is consistent when he's on the field, whether it's Chelsea or whether it's the U.S. men's national team. And it's not always, and I've complained about this before with Pulisic, it's not always with the national team anyway, that minute by minute, over a 90-minute game, constantly impacting what's happening on the field. But if you want to talk big moments, this kid is delivering in the biggest moments for the U.S. men's national team. His clutch gene is something that I think we've seen grow a lot in the last year. And I got no problem here putting him in the top 5. So Christian Pulisic then safely in the top 5
is that where
at
you had
number
him?
4. I don't know. You've got my list in front of me. Where did I have him?
Oh no.
You had him at...
You had Edson Alvarez over Pulisic.
There you go.
No, Sam, what are you doing?
There you go. Hey, sometimes you got to go out on a limb. That's what makes this show great.
That limb is broken. That tree branches out.
Hey, you're going to talk about his availability. Edson's playing every single week. 3 times a week sometimes.
In Champions League group phases. This man won a Champions League final.
Come on, Christian Pulisic, we're coming off of it now, but Christian Pulisic just missed 2 months, 3 months.
Okay, and what did he do to Mexico? What did Edson do to the U.S.?
That's a huge part. Okay, he played the last 15 minutes. He scored a goal.
Okay,
Congratulations.
let me ask you one
I'm not going to take 15 minutes over 3 months.
Okay, what's Edson Alvarez's marquee moment with the Mexican national team?
Oh, come on. You want to talk about marquee moments?
What's his moment?
That's Christian Pulisic's strength.
What's his moment?
Dominating, always being consistent. That's his moment. All right, so Christian Pulisic then must have been your number 1 American, right?
No.
Oh, he wasn't. Okay, well, let's get to number 3 on this list. Another American. It is Juventus's Weston McKennie. So McKennie has had an up and down year for club and country. But I think right now, yes, definitely up and down, for sure.
No,
for sure.
You're on this Weston McKennie down train. I don't understand it. Are we going to seriously ignore what he's done at Juventus? How important?
Stop talking for just a second and let me finish for once in your life.
All right.
Weston McKennie has had an up and down year. Weston McKennie has absolutely had an up and down year. Come on. He wasn't clearly a starter the whole year at Juventus. He had his suspension at Juventus as well over COVID-19 protocol issues. He had it with the national team. We can acknowledge those things and still say he's had a year that lands him at number 3 in our top 10 list. You can acknowledge the downs. You don't have to be a Weston McKennie cheerleader here.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. Edson Alvarez's cheerleaders call me a Weston McKennie
We can't talk about the negatives here on Futbol Americas. No.
Oh, no, we can't do it.
Herc wants to protect his Americans. Not an up and down year. No.
Here we go. Seb, the man won multiple titles with Juventus, okay? Mm-hmm. On your down year. Yeah, he got, suspended for the protocol in COVID. He should learn from that.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, not a big deal at club and in country. And you said it, he redeemed himself. And what has this man done, okay? He's likened to Arturo Vidal, to people like Conte, okay? And then he goes out with the national team. And all he does is he wins. All he does is he scores clutch goals. You talked about a clutch gene? MVP of the Nations League final. MVP of the Nations League tournament, I should say. Goal against Mexico in the final. Goal against Mexico in the 2-0. This man, his presence is felt when the U.S. men's national team does not have him in the center of the field. He's so contagious in the way he plays. He makes players around him better. But when he's not there, that's how good I know he is. That's how important I know he is for the U.S. men's national team. You spoke of the clutch gene. This is a winner. He's number 3 on my list.
Yeah, the most impressive thing is the last few months, not just how consistent Herc he's been for Juventus, and they've needed him, but how consistently he's been on the score sheet for Juventus. To me, that's taking it to another level. And when I make the direct comparison between Weston McKennie and Christian Pulisic, and you look at the fall, right? Basically, their fall season, Weston McKennie had a much better and more productive fall. Although there you see the numbers pretty even as far as goal return in domestic competitions is concerned, Herc. So you think Weston McKennie is the number 1 American, yeah?
I've got no issue saying he's the number 1 American. Absolutely.
That's a big change, though, because I feel like for a long time, Christian Pulisic was atop this list. This really has been a development in the last few months with McKennie.
Here's the thing with Christian Pulisic more than Weston McKennie. Do not confuse being the poster boy, being the face of a sport, being the face of U.S. soccer in this country for being the player who's in the best moments, okay? Because that changes. That is fluid. We can agree on this. And I think the moment that Weston McKennie has had throughout the year, even with the lows that you've mentioned, have been clearly, I don't want to say more important because winning the Champions League is very important and being that type of player, but clearly more impactful in CONCACAF. I have to go with Weston McKennie. I just think everything, the intangibles he brings, his durability, his willingness to fight through things, stay on the field, to be that player who impacts the game in certain ways, whether that's defending, whether that's getting on the end of things, becoming that clutch factor for the U.S. men's national team. It was very hard for me to ignore all these things, and I put him at number 3.
And of course, where he's doing it too, right? It's a very short list of American players that have held down a starting job as long as he has at a club like Juventus. That's awfully impressive, especially for a player who is, again, very, very young, like a lot of these Americans that we talk about when this U.S. men's national team is involved. Let's get to number 2. Speaking of big clubs, few bigger than the club that Keylor Navas of Costa Rica plays for, PSG. Now, ever since Gigi Donnarumma came in, it's not just his job at PSG, but Keylor Navas still one of the all-time greats when it comes to this position, and I think very justifiably entering at number 2 on our top 10 list.
I mean, he was one of the players that was on the ESPN Top 100, and justifiably so. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and he's one of the most disrespected players I've ever seen in my life. If this man didn't have a Costa Rican passport, if he was English, if he was Argentine, we'd be talking about how good he is to different types of people. He's a CONCACAF's greatest goalkeeper, okay, ever. I don't want to hear any type of name come into the stratosphere when we talk about how good this man has been, but he's still relevant today, and not just with PSG where he's keeping Donnarumma on the bench, but you saw Costa Rica when he came out injured against the U.S. men's national team, how quickly things change. I mean, he's a different type of player, a different type of leader, and he's so important to the Costa Rican national team. I've got no issues with the goalkeeper at number 2 when it's Keylor Navas.
PSG's paying a boatload of money to Donnarumma, right? He's the young guy, so you know he's the guy for the future. And I'd bet that at some point this year, Donnarumma's going to kind of take that job over, Herc. When that happens, how does it impact where we view Navas in terms of the top 10 conversation? So as to say, if he's not a starter, is he still automatically top 10 just because he's Keylor?
So it's different with Keylor, right? Because we saw it happen at Real Madrid when Thibaut Courtois was taken over there, how that quickly shaped the dynamic, and he was on the outs. It's quickly going to happen. The same thing is going to happen sooner rather than later. It's going to be Keylor Navas, and he's going to be outs again. It could be Newcastle in a super club, a newly formed super club, and he's a starting goalkeeper, and we're right back to Keylor Navas. We're right back to him still being what he's been, dominant. So I've got no issues. I don't think this is going to change anytime soon. I think there's a huge drop-off between Keylor Navas and the rest of the goalkeeping talent in CONCACAF.
So no doubt and very little debate about our number 2, and no doubt and very little debate, Herc, about our number 1. He was the other player, along with Keylor Navas, who did make the original list of the top 100 players by ESPN FC, Canada and Bayern Munich's Alphonso Davies, one of the best left backs in the world, and when it comes to CONCACAF, the best player in this region.
Where do you want to play him, Seb? Left back, winger, second striker. Play him anywhere you want. This man's going to have an impact. You'd be very hard-pressed to find a player that is so dominant in CONCACAF today, yet alone its history. I got to go back to Hugo Sanchez if I want to talk about dominance, honestly, in CONCACAF. That's what Alphonso Davies is today. It's what he can do, how he can impact the game. He was number 2 left back, number 2 left-rated back in the world in the ESPN Top 100, and I thought he was robbed. You could make a case for him being the best player in that position, and he just learned the position a year ago. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that he was playing in a final, okay? And he was playing against the likes of Barcelona, and he was playing against the likes of whomever it may be, and this man was dominating Champions League, and he was playing there just learning the position, humiliating people. He's one of the most dominant players I've seen in CONCACAF today. I don't think how anybody can argue that he's the best player in CONCACAF.
Yeah, you're focused a lot on what he's doing for Bayern Munich, and totally fair. But it's what he does with Canada, man. Yeah. I mean, that's the player who is, and we've said it before on this show, consistently impactful for Canada. Over 90 minutes, right? Yeah. Like every time that he's on the ball, every moment of the big games, he absolutely deserves to be number 1. And as we've said plenty of times on this show before, it's not all that close. Let's think about Alphonso Davies' career, though, Herc, because he's just getting started, right? He's number 1 in our list, and he's only 21 years old.
He turned in November.
So what do we think is next for Alphonso Davies? Let's think long-term here. Is it a long career at Bayern Munich, or is there a jump to something different?
To what, though? Because people are like, well, what's the next big thing for Alphonso Davies? What's the jump from Bayern Munich, if you think about it? Look at this club and what they've managed to do over the years. Is there really that big of a jump elsewhere? I mean, that's one of the best setups in the world. You're going to fight for titles domestically. You're going to fight for titles at a Champions League level. I don't think there is a bigger jump. I think we're talking about him holding that down for quite some time. And then later on, maybe there is that jump. But where do you go from Bayern Munich?
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be a challenge at Bayern, right? They're never going to stop either bringing players through their academy, signing the best players from around the Bundesliga, or signing the best players from around Europe. So I don't know that we can just guarantee that Alphonso Davies is going to be a starter for the next decade. But a player who I think we might see a similar career path, how about David Alaba? No, who spent a long time, a decade actually at Bayern Munich, won 10 Bundesliga titles, and then when he was ready and when he got to the point where his salary demands were more than Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich does have a ceiling, right? They're going to pay you, but they're not going to go crazy like some of the PSGs, Manchester Cities, Real Madrid of the world's will. When you get to those salary demands, Alaba said, okay, Bayern can't pay me, I go to Real Madrid on a free. I could see a move like that. You know, maybe not this contract, maybe not the next one, but Alphonso Davies is a superstar. He's a world superstar, and if he ever does leave Bayern Munich, there's going to be a lot of teams lining up for him.
Of course, because he's that good. But if we're talking about money, yeah, probably bigger clubs that could spend more on him. If we're talking about winning titles and doing things on the field, few clubs can guarantee you what Bayern Munich can.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.